Which of the following best represents the range? Talking about the range here. So if we go back to Dr. XY ID, the range would be where the R is at. So we're talking about the Y values here. Range of the Y values. Which one of these represents how far this graph travels in the Y direction? So if you look here, looks like we could say it starts down here and it goes all the way up to here in the Y. Well, this is 1, and this is, if you look right here, this is the Y part of the point, and that goes up to 7. So it goes from 1 to 7. So we're going to cross out anything that we see that is not from 1 to 7. A is not 1 to 7. B is not 1 to 7. So this is where you need to know your open and closed circles. So start with the first circle you see down here. The lowest value that we have is 1. So that's going to be our first circle is open, and then our second circle is closed. Well, open circles look like that, the less than. The closed circles have the less than or equals. And if you just know that part there, you can already determine that our answer is C. And you can just fill in the information if you wanted to. 1, and it goes all the way up to 7. And we're talking about the Y values here. The function f of x is defined as f of x equals blah, blah, blah. They give you this equation. We're going to put it in kid-friendly terms. Instead of using f of x, we're going to write it as y equals, and that's negative x squared plus 2x minus 3. Which of the following correctly shows the value of f of negative 2/3? So if you start with what they gave you, f of x, and you look at what they've done here with f of negative 2/3, what kind of conclusion can you make about what they've replaced? Well, write that in kid-friendly terms. They're just simply telling you if x equals negative 2/3, what would the answer be, or what would be y in this case? So to do this, we're going to use the STOW function in the calculator. And what STOW does is it will replace x with negative 2/3, and then we can type this equation in and it will automatically do the math for us. Check this out. So here we go. You're going to turn this on, hopefully. So start with alpha. We're going to hit the F1. We're going to go under the first one, hit enter. This is going to allow us to type in a fraction, negative 2/3, and we're going to take that value and we're going to store it, or stow, to x. Every time I hit the letter x in the calculator, it will replace the value of x with negative 2/3. So you don't have to plug negative 2/3 in here every time you see x. The calculator is going to do that for us. So let's type in what we have in this blue part right here. Negative x squared plus 2x minus 3. And let's see what answer we come up with. If you look right here, negative 43/9, voila, there it is. It's as simple as that. Use the STOW if they tell you what x is. Student bought concert tickets online. The cost C. So C is the cost. So the cost is over here in dollars of T tickets. So tickets, that variable is on the right, can be found using the function below. So you got this ugly looking thing. We're going to write it in kid-friendly terms. What I mean in kid-friendly terms is instead of using the letter C, let's put it in y equals and just rewrite that equation. But instead of using the letter T, we're going to use the letter X. If you can write it in terms of X and Y, and you have the equation in y equals, and they give you either the X or the Y value, we can use the calculator to answer the question. So let's see what information they give us here. If the student spent a total, so they spent a total of $528, that is the cost. That represents the C, or in this case, it represents the Y value. If I were to make an XY table, the Y value is 528. The question is asking, how many tickets would you purchase in order to get a total of 528? guess what? The calculator will do that for us since it's already in y equals. So we're going to go under y equals and we're going to type this equation in red in the calculators here. So we're in y equals. We're going to do our alpha f1. We're going to type in the top part of the fraction 49x plus 19. Type in the bottom part. You can do 0.5 or you can just do 0.5. And then we're going to go to the table. The table's in blue, so second table. And what we're looking for is we're looking for the missing component right there. So let's scroll down. And if you look, when you spend $528, you will have purchased 5 tickets. So your answer is 5. We're looking at number 7. Hamburgers cost $2.98. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. Hamburgers, each one costs $2.98. An order of French fries. So French fries cost $1.79. We're going to shorthand that. French fries, one order is $1.79. Alrighty, let's keep reading. The number of hamburgers Wendy can buy is X. So the variable X is going to go with hamburgers. You could just say that the variable H, but in this case, because the problem says X, we're going to use the letter X. And the number of order of French fries she can buy, they're using the letter Y. So if I bought 2 hamburgers at $2.98, that'd be 2 times $2.98, or $2.98 times X, and X represents how many hamburgers you're buying. Y represents how many French fries you're buying. So let's keep reading here. Which inequality could be solved to find the number of each she can buy if she spends, at least? This is the example I like to use with at least. Here's a little Ferris wheel here, yippee, everybody wants to ride, right? I know, I'm an artist. And there's a little sign up here and it says, you must be at least this tall. So what does that mean? Well, to be at least this tall right here, so here's a person, they can be equal to that height, or they can be greater than, right? Because if you're taller, you can ride the ride. I can't ride there, obviously. So you can be greater than or equal. So I'm going to find any sign that looks like greater than or equal. This is less than. This is only greater than. This is less than or equal. So just by knowing the word at least, you can already figure out what your answer is. And you can kind of start to match things up here. $2.98 times X plus $1.79 times Y. And they want to have at least, which is greater than or equal, they want to spend at least $25. So our answer is D. Number 10, determine the rate of change. Rate of change, that's a fancy way of saying what is the slope. So if I think in terms of y equals mx plus b, we want to know what is this guy right here. Well, if I think back of the calculator language, what the calculator uses ax plus b, and there's something that we can do to calculate the slope if they give me points in a table, or if they give me the data. So in this case here, we are going to use stat edit. So stat edit, hit enter. We're going to type our x values in L1. So let's scroll over to L1, 0, -9. And we're going to type our y values in L2, -6, -12. So after you do stat edit, you're going to do stat, scroll over to calc, and look at number 4. Look at what we wrote right up here. We're going to hit enter, scroll down to calculate and hit enter, and the calculator will give you the value of A. In this case, they're saying the value of A is 0.6 repeating, which is the same as saying 2/3. The question is asking you, what is the rate of change or the slope? Well, the calculator again uses the language A. We use the language M. 2/3 is our slope. This is nothing more than an XY table. Which best describes the relationship shown in the table? Start with your X values. What do you notice about the X values? They are increasing. So the x values are going up, and as the x values are going up, what is happening to the y values? The y values are going up. So as x is increasing, y is increasing. We call that a positive trend. Now, if you weren't able to use the table to determine that, you could just do a little rough graph. So the x's, looks like they're 50, 100, 300. So let's count by 100s. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. And then let's count here by 5s. So now let's count by 3s. 3, 6, 9, and 12. So let's plot our points. Go over 50, which is about right here, and go up 5. So we'll estimate 5 right there. Go over 100 and up 8, which is going to be right up here. Go over 300 and up 9, which is up here. Go over 400, we don't have a 400, go over 500 and up 12. And if you were to draw a line of best fit, you would know that that would be a positive correlation, or in this case, a positive trend. Given the equation y equals 4x plus 6, which of the following best describes the graph of a new line whose slope is, so here we go, slope is 1.5 times the given line. So we're going to take the slope here of 4, and we're going to multiply that times 1.5. If you do 4 times 1.5, you get 4 times 1 is 4, half of that is 2, so we get 6. And let's keep reading here. And the y-intercept, so that's this number here, the positive 6, the y-intercept is 1 less than. So we're going to subtract 1. 6 minus 1 would just make that 5. So here's our new equation, 6x plus 5. So let's figure out which one of these matches up. A, the new line will have a slope of 9. No, we have a slope of 6. That's not going to work. The new line will have a slope of 6. Yes, but a y-intercept of 3. Y-intercept of 3. No, we have a y-intercept of 5. The new line will have a slope of 6. Yes. And a y-intercept of 5. Yes. So our answer is C. Which of the following equations describes the line through the points listed in the table below? If it is not in y equals, which these equations right here are not in y equals, the first way that I'm going to show you is you can take each answer choice. So we'll start with F. And what we're going to do is we are going to put it in y equals mx plus b form. So we'll split it up here. X is positive on the left, so we're going to move it over here. It's going to be negative on the right. Bring down the 3y, and then your last step is to divide everything by 3 here. And you're left with y equals negative 1/3 x plus 4/3. So what you can do is you can take this equation here. We are going to type it in, y equals. So let's type in our equation. So we're going to go and type in negative 1/3 x plus, and we'll go back in here and create another fraction, plus 4/3. We're going to go to our table. So second table, we're going to see if the table here matches up to our table. So if we go down to 1 for x, notice we get 1 for y. So that worked out. But if I go to negative 2 for x, in the calculator I get 2 for y, and I'm supposed to get 10. So I already know that this equation right here for f is incorrect. Now let me show you a different way that you can do this as well. You could go through and you could store all of these numbers here. You could store this to x and this to y and type this in and see if you get 4. Store negative 2 to x and 10 to y, type this in and see if you get 4. You could keep doing that over and over, but that would take you forever to do. So we're just going to keep putting everything in y equals. Let's look at h. We're going to look at letter h right here. So 3x plus y equals 4. We'll split it up. X is positive over here, so it's positive 3 on the left. It's going to be negative 3 on the right. Bring down the positive 4. And your y. So this is in y equals. Let's type it in the calculator. Under y equals negative 3x plus 4. Go to our table. Let's see what we can do here. So we'll start with, start with x is 1. We get y is 1. That worked. Let's go up to -2. And y is 10. That worked. -1 right here. Y is 7. That worked. And if you go down here, 0, 4. And so there you go. You see that your answer is H. Graph of the line G is shown below. Which equation describes a line parallel? To have two lines that are parallel, that means that the slopes are equal to each other. And it has a y-intercept at 0, -1. So 0, -1 is here. So it needs to be parallel to this guy that you see. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate the slope here. They give us 2 points. And remember, slope is rise, and you can rise up or down. I know that sounds weird, rising down. That's the same as falling. And you always run to the right. So let's start here. Let's start at this point. Now, I have to fall down and go to the right. That's the only way I can go from the red point to this lighter blue point. So let's see how far down we have to go. We go 1, 2, 3, 4. So I go down 4. And then I'm going to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My fraction is -4/8. That can be reduced to -1/2. For it to be parallel, it has to have a slope of -1/2. That's the number that needs to be in front of x. Look at letter F. 2 is in front of x. That is not the answer. Look at letter G. G is +1/2. That's not the answer. And if you look at J, that's -2. And so you can already see here that your answer is H. Because at -1, that is your y-intercept. And that's what it was asking you to do, to go through the y-intercept and have the same slope parallel to the line given. What is the equation of a line that passes through the point 9, 2 and has a y-intercept of 0, 5? All right, so here's what we need to do first. Chances are the first one is not going to be correct because STAAR hates kids and they want you to work all these out. So as a test-taking strategy, and this works most of the time, but not all the time, I'm going to skip letter F and I'm going to take letter G and I'm going to put that in y equals mx plus b. Because if it's not in y equals, it's not going to help me out. Let's split this guy up, start moving some stuff. This is +1x, so when +1x moves to the right, it becomes -1x. And then the 15 is positive, this drops down here. Bring down what you have left, 3y. Your last step is going to be divide by the number in front of y, which is 3. Divide this by 3 and 15 by 3. Let's clean it up. -1/3 x. 15 divided by 3, since they're both positive, is going to be +5. Let's take this and put it in the calculator and see if it meets some of the conditions that we have here. So the first condition says that it needs to pass through this point 9, 2. Let's create a fraction. X plus 5. We're going to go to our table. Let's check out 9, 2. Let's see if it goes through 9, 2. It does go through 9, 2. Awesome. What was the second condition? It must have a y-intercept of 0, 5. Well, you can confirm that in the table as well. There's 0, 5. And there we go. It meets both conditions. The answer is G. The equation below can be used to determine T, the total cost in dollars to repair a television set at a shop, based on H, the number of hours it takes for the repair. Well, if you look here, this is not in kid-friendly terms. So instead of using the letter T, we are going to use the letter Y. And instead of using the letter H, we are going to use the letter X. But before I go any further, this is not in the y equals mx plus b form that I'm used to seeing, because you can see right here that what they did is they swapped those two. So we're going to swap them. We're going to take this term here and we're going to write it as 35x and 50 as positive plus 50. They're doing that because they're trying to trick you. Remember, STAAR hates kids. What does the y-intercept? of the graph of the equation represent? So they're asking, what does 50 represent? If you did not change that, and maybe you didn't recognize that 35 is the number in front of x, which is your slope. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get you to think 35 is the y-intercept. That's not the case. So they're trying to figure out, what does 50 represent? The total cost for the repair. A, that's incorrect. The total cost is going to be whatever you get, whatever this number is right here, after you do the math. That is not the answer. The hourly rate. Well, if H is how many hours you work, you can see they're charging $35 an hour. The number of hours it takes for the repair? No, that's the letter H. In this case, we replaced it with X. The initial charge to bring the television in for repairs? Yes. So what that means is, if you bring your TV in, yep, I'm an artist. As soon as you bring that in, the bill is going to start at $50 and it is going to go up $35 an hour. Jesse joined an online DVD rental site that charges $1.99 for 3 movies. Okay. The number of movies rented varies directly. Varies directly means that it is proportional with the monthly bill. If Jesse's first bill was $9.95, how many movies did he rent? Okay, you can set this up as a proportion. They're comparing 2 things here. They're comparing money and they're comparing movies. Okay, so let's set up a proportion here. I'm going to call this our proportion window. So we're going to put money on top. So we're going to put $1.99 goes with 3 movies. So if you spend $9.95, how many movies would that be? If you go back to 6th, 7th, and 8th grade to solve a proportion, a basic proportion like this, you look at the numbers that are across from each other, $9.95 and 3, so we cross multiply those two. We'll do $9.95 times 3. You get that, $29.85, and you divide by the poor little old leftover number there. So we're going to take that answer and divide by. And it will tell you that you can rent 15 videos or 15 movies. There's another way you can do this. Since you know it's proportional, you could apply a little bit of what I like to call common sense. So let me clear this out here. It's $1.99 for 3 movies. So if you take $1.99 and divide it by 3, that means 1 movie equals 0.663 repeating. And then what you could do is you could take this number here and multiply it times each one of the answer choices and see which one gives you a total of $9.95. And if I go directly to my answer, which is 15, if I take that and multiply that times 15, you'll get a total bill of $9.95. So that's another way of doing that as well. Hope this helped.